Hi, so in this video, I'm going to be going through how to create data sets for the UMARV Computer Vision Scene Perception Repository. So first of all, you're going to want to go through and actually take a video going through a course, and you're going to want to make sure that your video is in MP4 format. Um, if not, there's a converter posted in the documentation. But after you have your MP4 video, you're going to want to go through and actually store it in the UMARV Dropbox. You can find the location here in the computer vision folder, uh, going into scene perception, raw videos, and then you can post the video in here. I'm going to let that happen in the background. So after this, you're going to want to go through into the actual repository in the parameters directory, and then put the video, the MP4 file, inside the input directory. After that, you're going to go into the source directory, scripts, and then you're going to be running this get frames from video Python file. So to do that, you're going to want to right click and then run Python file in terminal. Here we can see it's finished extracting 48 frames from the video at 1 frame per second. So after this, we're going to go to RoboFlow in that link in the documentation. We're going to click New Project in the top right, and then we're going to fill out the project name, which will be SP, which stands for Scene Perception, and then the actual dataset name, which this dataset name is COM24 colored cones 1. After that, the license is going to stay at CC by 4 annotation group. We're going to set that as lanes. For the project type, we're going to want to show more, and then we're going to select semantic segmentation, and then click create public project. If this pops up, you can just not sync the annotations between projects, and then create public. So once you get here, you're going to want to select folder, and then you're going to find your UMARV folder. You're going to click in scene perception, and then the actual scene perception repository. Go into parameters, and then go into output. This is where all your frames got outputted. And then click into this folder here, click into data, and then we can upload. So here we see all the images got uploaded. So we're going to click save and continue. Also, we're going to want to remember to actually delete the contents of the parameters inside the input and the output. From this point, we're going to want to click Start Manual Labeling. And then at this point, if you want to add teammates, you'll just add them here. You'll invite them, and then you can search and add them. I think you can have up to 3 people, including yourself, per data set. But for this one, I'm just going to be assigning them all to myself. So assign all the photos. Again, in this case, I'm just going to assign them to myself. So we're going to click into this classes section here, and then we're going to type this in, lanes, comma, drivable area, comma, cones, in that text box, and then we're going to click add classes, click OK. Then we're going to go into this annotate section here, and we're going to start annotating, which to do so, we click in this box here, or just start annotating. So this is the UI to actually annotate the images. You're going to want to get familiar with this. A couple things to note. So this here is the polygon tool. You can create any kind of tool, and then once you're done, you would choose which class this is. This is, we'll just say it's the drivable area for now. And yeah, that's your first label. But obviously this is a mistake. We don't want that. So to get rid of it, you can go to the layer section here, find the actual layer for that label. You can click on these three dots here and then delete it. But a very powerful tool is a smart polygon. So this will actually create the um, the label for you based on what you click. So for example, if I want to create the label for these two, first I'll click on this, and let's say I want to include this cone too. I'll click on the cone, and we can see they both got picked up. So I'll click enter, but then this isn't a drivable area, right? This is a cone label. So we'll click on cone, and then yeah, that creates a label for the cone. Let's say let's create a label for these three cones. Just gonna click enter twice, and now for the lanes. So we just click on a lane, click enter, and then select lanes, and then we'll go on this one here, enter lanes, go on this one here, enter, finish. Um, so this happens to be a very easy one to label. Uh, some of them won't be this easy. Let's see if I can have an instance where, okay, so here I want to label the drivable area. So this area here, but as you can see, I clicked in this area, but most of the image got picked up. So in this case, I will click on a portion of the area of the image that I do not want to be considered drivable area. So we can see that pretty much fixed everything here. Um, there there are some minor artifacts here, but honestly, this much detail isn't too important. If you do want to go into that much detail, I just added a little green arrow there or a click there to include it, and that made it pretty much perfect. But essentially, if there's a portion that you don't want in it, you will click inside that portion. But if there's a portion that you do want included, you will click outside of the portion, and it'll do its best to mold the label to include that outside portion. But again, when we're done, we'll click enter, and then this one is going to be the drivable area. Also, you're going to want to include these cracks to essentially anything that you can see in terms of cones or lanes, even if they're way off in the distance. We're going if you can tell that it's a cone or a lane, our model should also be able to tell if it's a cone or a lane, right? So we know that this is drivable area, so we'll want to label this too. Um, Actually, for the drivable area, a lot of the time I just use the polygon tool. It's a little bit easier. Um, a trick that I do is I click actually inside of other labels. Doesn't have to be perfect. But the trick is, so once I set this as drivable area, we can see that it covered the cones, but going to this layer section, we can see that's the label that I just created. You can click on the three dots and then send it to the back, and then it'll fix itself out here. And we'll do the same thing for this part here. Click enter. We can see it messed it up again, but we will click on the three dots and then send it to the back, and then it's all good. So this is the first frame of the data set. We're going to want to go through and label all 50 frames kind of in the same way. And here's a good example of a cone being detected far away. So we're going to want to actually mark that cone. Even though it's pretty far and the model might not see it, we still recognize that it's a cone, so we should label it properly. So you're going to want to go through and label all of the images in the data sets. So I'm going to pick up on a data set that I already finished labeling, and I went through the entire data set to make sure all of the labels were good. So at this point, what we do is we're going to add the images to a data set. To do this, we want to click on this Annotate tab, um, go into the actual project, and then we're going to click on the Add Images to Datasets. We're going to set all of these to train like that, and then go ahead and click Add Images. Next, we're going to go to this Generate tab, and then we're going to want to remove these pre-processing steps. Click Continue, leave the augmentation empty, Continue, and then we're going to hit Create, let it, let it do its thing. So now at this point, we're going to click Download Datasets. The format is going to be semantic segmentation masks. We're going to switch this to download zip to computer, and then click Continue. Once that's done downloading, I'm going to go ahead and um, pull the zip file to my desktop. Going to unzip, extract all, and then I get this folder here. So then we're going to want to click into here and rename this train folder to label. And then at this point, we're going to want to go into the repository. We're going to open the parameters folder, and then inside the input, we're going to replace this placeholder with this label folder. Make sure it's in the input, like so. And then after this, we're going to want to go into the source folder, go into the scripts, and then we're going to right click on this extract label from RoboFlow. And then we're going to click run Python file in terminal. So you can see that it's finished now. It has the data sets, all the data, as well as the corresponding labels. So at this point, you can open up the repository in your folders, um, and then go to the parameters, output, and then rename it to the actual dataset name. In my case, it was the Comp24 walkthrough. And then at this point, this is pretty much your finished data set. You're going to want to upload this to the Dropbox. To do that, you're going to, so yeah, this is the Dropbox. You'll go to the UMARV folder, computer vision, go into the scene perception folder, data sets, real world. Oh, actually, this one is going to be a benchmark. But if your data set is for training, go ahead and put that in the real world. But for this one, we're going to put it in the benchmarks, and then you're just going to drag it in here, and then you're all set. It should upload, and then you're done.